This is camera 2 introduction. We're going to turn on the camera. And then we power on the focus control by holding the record button that's closest to you. And then as this boots up, there's a unlock symbol. We want to hit that and lock the face of this so you don't push anything accidentally. Then we can grab the comm headset down here, slap this on, and we will press the talk button to keep the green light illuminated. So as we sit down and we settle in, there's a couple of things we want to think about on the tripod head itself. There's 2 locks and 2 fluid drags. So the pan lock is on the bottom here, this little knob. We don't really use it because there's no need to lock our pan, but if this won't move, you just need to loosen this. The tilt lock we use all the time. So this locks it, pulling it towards yourself, pushing it away will unlock it. So generally during worship, we want it unlocked because people are different heights and we need to tilt up and down. And then when we get to sermon, we're going to get an appropriate amount of headroom on our subject for the sermon. And then we like this and we will lock in our tilt so that as we follow, we don't have to worry about the camera nodding and dipping in and out. Then we have the 2 fluid drags. So these are going to be specific to you and what is comfortable. This will add a certain amount of resistance toward motion. So I can loosen it to make it easier to pan. I don't have to push very hard. Or I can add more resistance so that I have to push through it. The more resistance you add, generally the smoother you can be, but you have to push pretty hard. It takes more effort. And then you can have a problem with spring back, where if this is really tight, as I pan and I release, it will bounce back. So we need to find the sweet spot of how much resistance you want to have. Then the tilt fluid drag works in the same way, where if this is really loose, turning it away from me, the camera can really fall and move way too easily. So you want to add a certain amount of drag to make sure that it doesn't dip on you. So you have an appropriate amount of resistance. So you can play with both of these things to make it feel right for you. And there's going to be a little bit of trial and error as you figure out what works for you. So down on the handles, we have our zoom control and our focus control. So on the zoom in your right hand, there's 2 components to think about. There's a speed knob at the top, which will kind of control your max speed. And then the rocker itself that controls your zoom. So we're pushing to the left to zoom out and pushing to the right to zoom in. And then this would be your top speed because you still have variable control. So I can zoom out very slowly just by controlling how far I push that rocker. And then I can ramp it up if I want to go faster. So you have variable control just by moving the rocker slowly. And that all just takes some time to play with. So you need to sit in and just get a feel for it. And then in your left hand, this is the focus wheel. So we pull toward ourselves to focus closer to me, and then I can push it away to focus closer to the stage. So on the screen, we're going to see our red lines. That's our peaking. So I can push it away to focus more on the curtain. And then I can roll it back towards me to focus more on my subject. So an exaggerated form would be I can focus closer to me to see this pole. And then I can push it away to focus back on my subject. Next, we're going to talk about follow. And the name of the game here as we watch, we're starting with a good follow, where we move when the subject moves. So we cannot be panning if our subject is not moving. We would call that creep. So we'll watch here as our subject stops, we stop. And then he's going to move. We're a little bit off center and creeping. So that's what we don't want to do. If we see the frame move when our subject is not moving, that's what gets us in trouble. So he stops, we stop. And then we're moving with him. Even if, look, he stopped, he's not centered, but we're okay. We're going to wait, and then he's going to move further out of frame, then we catch up. The number one rule is we cannot move if the subject is not moving. For framing, we have a variety of different shots, varying levels of tightness as we're shooting. So this would be all the way tight. This is as far in as we can go, and then we can back this out to what we would call a cowboy shot or a medium, where we're kind of cutting the subject mid-thigh and keeping some headroom, but not too much headroom. So the amount of space above the subject's head we call headroom, where if we have too much, the subject looks short. So we want to not cut the hair, but be pretty tight to his head as we go out. So then we can go a little wider, kind of cut him mid-calf, and then we can go all the way out to a head-to-toe, we would call this, where you can see that the headroom kind of stays about the same. I'm tilting down as I zoom out to maintain about the same amount of headroom, so that as we go in, we're kind of keeping his eye line at about the same level in the frame, no matter how wide the shot is. His eyes are about in the same spot on the frame.